Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh here from Patriotic AF. So I've been getting a lot of messages from followers and customers who are looking to join the military or have family members who are looking to join the military, and they've asked for advice or input on, what my thoughts were on maybe the job that they were choosing or what to expect when they get there, how to prepare, etc. So what I wanted to do is take some time to do a quick video offering my advice from my own personal experience and the people that I've worked with, and this goes from all the way at the beginning when I joined the military in 2005 until now, working with the military until then, even after getting out in 2010. Um, so the very first thing I'd like to say for those of you who are looking to join the service, I have to say that I'm absolutely and fully in support of you doing that. There are not very many younger folks out there who choose to make that decision with their life, and I can tell you just from my own experience, that it definitely was a life-changing and also defining moment in my adulthood that allowed me to progress to become the man that I am today. Um, so thank you for your service, and I wish the best for you. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and move forward. So the first thing is not to talk bad about recruiters or anything of that nature, but just so you know, their job is to get you to join, right? That's their job. So depending upon the person, depending upon the recruiter and who you deal with, a lot of times they're going to try to put you where they can, and not just that, but put you in critical MOSs that have a dire need for people first, right? Now, obviously, your preference is what they're going to consider when they, work with you to join. But if for whatever reason that job's not available, or there's more incentive to join something else, or there's a big bonus here or there, they're going to try to push you to do that. I can tell you from from experience myself, when I joined, I wanted to join the infantry. However, due to influence from my recruiter, I actually didn't end up joining the infantry, right? So just keep that in mind when you're approaching a recruiter. It's almost like buying a car, right? They're going to try to get you what's going to better serve the military at the time in terms of what the military needs and whatever branch of service you look to join. Now, with that said, you have to remember when you're doing this, they're going to try to get you to sign right now, right? They're going to try to get you in there, get you out, and go. But remember, you're signing your life away. You're signing your time away. And this is going to be a key defining moment in your future in the military, whether you choose to stay in or get out or whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, so take your time when you're doing your job selection. Take your time to study for the ASVAB. Remember, you can retake the ASVAB. And at worst, reach out to people like me or friends or family members who have served in the military and ask them about what jobs are available or what you think and what their thoughts are on the jobs that you are looking to sign up towards. Key takeaway from that is not every job in the military is the same. Obviously, each one is going to have different skills and different requirements to, in order to qualify for those jobs. However, those requirements aren't exceedingly high unless you're joining a very specialized field of work, right? Like signals intelligence or something to do with nuclear medicine, or medicine or whatever that is, right? So with that said, just make sure that when you're signing up, you do your research, you do your due diligence, and don't let anyone push you into doing something that you're not sure about, right? You can always go back. You can always, reattack the situation after becoming more rehearsed and knowledgeable, and give yourself the ability to make an intelligent decision or educated decision, okay? Now, people always ask me, what type of exercise regimen, how should I prepare? And what I can tell you is, for most people joining the military, unless you're combat arms, from my time, with the Army, the bare minimum was like a 2-mile run, push-ups and sit-ups, right? And your recruiter will actually do an evaluation or try to do an evaluation on you to see where you're at. What I can tell you is if you want to prepare for the military, the best thing for you to do is just those baseline run, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, right? Um, you can practice, do it in the morning. What I would suggest is run at least 3 to 4 times a week. Make sure that you can run at between a 7 to 8 minute pace for at least a few miles or a couple miles. And that's going to put you in a position where you're going to be ready to go to basic training. The last thing that you want to be when you get to basic training is out of shape, because that's just going to set you behind. So there are programs out there, like I know Raider Project does something to help people, prepare for joining the military. But my advice to anybody who's just looking to join, especially younger folks, is just run, right? It's not so hard that you're gonna, break down and die and vomit all over the place if you're capable of running a few miles in one go at an 8-minute pace. But do your best to strengthen your upper body. Pull-ups, push-ups, do 50, do 100, do as many as you can in the morning or in the evenings before you go to bed, and you'll be fine. Basic training is designed to prepare you for that, right? For the physical requirements of the military and the PT test. So the expectation is that when people come, they're not going to be in the shape that they need to be in. So if you get there and you're already able to pass or ace a PT test with a perfect score, then that just gives you that much of a leg up on pursuing the rest, making it through the rest of basic training. So one thing you always have to remember too, right, is there's people that come and they join the military from all walks of life. They come from different parts of the country. You're going to be dealing with different cultures, different races, different groups of people that have different backgrounds from everywhere. And what I can tell you is the number one mistake that even I made when I joined and went to basic training in my first duty station was you need to leave what you were behind you. Forget what you know. Forget who you were. You may have been a high school, super popular in high school and had all kinds of friends and were super smart and intelligent. You may be arrogant. You may not be arrogant. It doesn't matter, right? What you were before you joined the military is no longer relevant, right? Because you're stepping into a world now where you're not measured based upon what you were. You're measured based upon what you are. And that will exist for the period of your entire career. It doesn't matter if you went and achieved these schools and got these awards and did all this, this, and this, even during your military career. What people care about is the value that you're adding now, not what you added before, where you were, right? So if you walk to the table with the mentality that you're there to learn, you're there to consume and there to listen, you're going to be more successful in the military, right? It's not about what you were, it's about what you are, right? So with that said, you have to remember that you're walking into a situation that you don't know anything about, right? You have never done this before. Your job, basic training, people might have told you things about it and what to expect, but at the end of the day, this is a completely new experience. This is something that you've never done before. So walk into that situation with open ears and a closed mouth, right? And just consume information, and you will be successful. Okay. Now, remember, like I said with basic training, the goal is to get you to that physical level of competence. But in addition to that, basic training is not just the physical aspect of it, it's the mental aspect of it, and also your basic soldiering or marine or sailor skills that you need, and like such as shooting, moving under contact, etc. Right? So just remember that as you're progressing through this, the whole point of basic training is for your drill sergeants or your drill instructors to break you down emotionally, physically, etc., to feel like nothing, and then build you up and mold you into what the military needs you to be, right? So don't resist that. Don't fight that. Don't push back, right? Just accept that you are there to learn and consume and add as much value to that experience as you possibly can, and you will be successful, right? So with all that said, the whole part of the military, or the whole, I guess, concept of the military, especially in people who've served will tell you this, you're basically getting paid to show up on time, to do your job, and to follow directions. That's it. And if you're able to do those three things, you will be successful in the military. You will get promoted, you will progress, you will move forward, and you will eventually, if you want to go that direction, be able to retire successfully after 20 years. Okay, so follow directions to a T. Don't think that you know better than the person who's telling you what to do. Don't think that you have a better way. Follow directions, because even in the military, there are people there who've done things longer and have made the mistakes you have. And a lot of times the reason why they're not teaching you the shortcuts or teaching you the easier ways is so that you can learn why you don't go through those things, right? So a lot of times it's better to just execute, and then after the fact, hey, I was able to successfully do this. Can you explain to me why we don't do it this way if you didn't get that experience during that training, right? A lot of times it's better to ask after the fact than it is to pretend like you know better at the forefront and then end up making a fool of yourself, right? So follow directions, line by line, boom, 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 boom. That's it. That's all they ask from you, okay? So again, like I said, you're getting paid to show up, be on time, in the correct uniform, and follow directions. That's it, right? As far as the military is concerned, okay? So when you go, depending upon your MOS, some combat arms, like I'm speaking to the Army specifically, I know the Marines are very similar. Basically, if you're a combat arms MOS, you'll go through basic training, which is 9 weeks, and then you will stay in the same platoon, in the same unit, in the same place for an extended period of time, depending upon the length of the school, to finish your job training, right? And this is like your technical training, your on-the-job experience. So you got your basic, now you're going to get your job training, right? If you're a non-combat or support MOS or job, you will likely go to basic training, and then from basic training, you will go to a different place and do whatever your job training is, okay? And the place is going to vary depending upon your job. All of the advice that I gave you for basic training will be the same when you go to your technical school, okay? Be there to learn, follow directions, show up on time, etc. That's all you got to do. However, when you get to your technical training, you may get a little bit more relaxed, right? You might be able to go off base, go out into town, do things. You'll have free time, etc., depending upon the job and what you do. So that kind of leads me into my next point, okay? And this is also for your first duty station, right? One thing that's very unfortunate about being a young Marine, soldier, sailor, airman is you have not only become a target, but enemies, foreign enemies, but you have also become a target domestically, right? And what I mean by that is there are now people out there who are after your paycheck. There are a lot of people out there after your paycheck, right? And you have to learn to protect yourself and learn that it's better to not make financial commitments that you can't fulfill, or it's better not to jump into loans that you're not sure about, right? And I'll give you a couple examples as we move forward, but just remember that there's a reason why when you go into military towns, it's littered full of, car dealerships, jewelry stores, strip clubs, pawn shops, etc., tattoo shops, right? The list goes on. Why? Because those businesses flourish in a military area, right? And a lot of times what will happen is, I'll tell you, for me, one of my first experiences was after I got done with my tech school. I finished, I got my job, I went to my very first duty station at Fort Hood, Texas, and I'm sitting at the building for replacement battalion, and this guy, he pulls up in a car. There's a crowd of us smoking and joking downstairs outside, and he goes, "Hey, anybody here looking to buy a car?" And of course, I'm like, "Yeah, actually I am." So he puts me in the front seat of his car, real nice Cadillac, brand new, lowered with rims, brings me down to this off-base car dealership. And that night, I ended up walking out of the place, 17 years old, with a year 2000 Mitsubishi Lancer, right? And the Blue Book value on that vehicle was like $8,000. I ended up buying it for $12,500. But here's the kick. I ended up having a loan with a 24% interest rate, and I had no clue, none. My monthly payment on this car was upwards of $400 a month, right? And I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I just bought my first car, but I got targeted by a loan shark, by a shark. He came, he took advantage of my ignorance and ended up getting me into a financial commitment that I had no idea I was going to get screwed over later, right? And they're out there, and they're always out there, and they're on the hunt. There's always going to be a deal. There's always going to be somebody there who's trying to get you to commit to some type of financial commitment, right? And they'll always say, oh, 0 money down, blah, blah, blah. Don't give in to that, okay? Save your money. Pay cash for what you want, okay? If anything, talk to your NCOs, talk to your leadership, and let them know. And they'll give you advice. They'll take you to places and make sure that you're taken care of if you're actually looking to buy a car. Use those resources rather than letting someone take advantage of you, because they will take advantage of you if you let them, okay? It's very important, because you laugh, but I'll tell you what, I've lived around military bases for the last 13, 14 years, and I can tell you it's the same thing everywhere you go. There are people out there who are literally targeting you for your money. And the reason for that is because the military, the way it works is if I have a loan and I'm signed for that loan, regardless of whether it's fair or whatever, and I don't pay that, that organization can go to your commander and tell them you were delinquent on your debt, and they will garnish that from your paycheck before you see any money. And that's the reason they go after you, because they know that the money that you've committed to is secured for them no matter what. Low risk, high reward, extremely high interest, they get you. So be careful, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is kind of just brief, is kind of the military cliche, right? Is, young guy, 18 years old. He's got a high school sweetheart. He goes off and he joins the military, and he finishes basic training. He gets to his first duty station, and he's living in the barracks. Not very great place to live all the time. He goes and he decides that, hey, I can't move off base, but if I get married, I get BAH or BAQ. I get BIS, I get all this money that comes in to help me pay for my new family. I can move off base, get myself my own place, etc., etc. However, what I can tell you is that the divorce rate in the military is higher than anywhere else, okay? And I can also tell you that being deployed and gone from home, from your family and your wife and everything is very, very challenging. And one of the biggest challenges is not for you, but it's also for your family, right? Your wife and your kids, right? So you have to take that into consideration, leaving your wife at home. And it's really sad to say that a lot of times the reason why these marriages fail is due to adultery, right? And I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where a guy was deployed, he hadn't been able to talk or call home in months, and he gets home and his house is empty, or his wife is seeing someone else, or whatever the story. It's a very dangerous road to walk, and it's also a situation where you cannot win, right? You lose your money, you lose your time with your kids, you'll lose a lot. So before you decide to, at 20 years old or 18 or 22 years old, to go and jump into a marriage, really take the time to consider, is that what you want to do with your life? And make sure that the person that you do that with is somebody that you know and you truly do trust, right? And what I can tell you is that 6 months, a year of being together in a relationship isn't enough time to know if that person is the one that you should spend the rest of your life with, right? And I can also tell you is that I'm a little bit biased in that regard because of what I've seen and experienced during my career. And there are anomalies out there and, people who would beg to differ, but I can tell you the statistics don't lie. So just be careful, protect yourself. And you can go out and do your own research. There's a reason why there's a ton of military memes out there that talk about dependas, right? I'm trying to be as tactful and positive about it as I can and provide, useful advice and knowledge. But those things happen, and you're not immune to that, and I promise you. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is leadership, right? So in the military, just like anywhere else, there's good leadership and there's bad leadership, okay? And obviously it's easy to learn from good leaders, people who take care of you, especially your NCOs. And NCOs Corps in the Army, they say, is the backbone of the Army, right? That's where all the work gets done. That's where everything happens. And there's a reason for that, right? And the reason for that is because of good leadership and the structure of the military and the way it's built to build a brotherhood and a camaraderie of like-minded people together who take care of one another, right? And your NCOs are the backbone of that. Rely on those leaders to teach you, listen to them, okay? Sometimes personalities can get in the way, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you'll get really lucky and get an amazing NCO who takes good care of you and teaches you and helps you progress in your career, and other times you won't. However, don't make the same mistake I did, right? Where you blame your unhappiness or your discontent with the duty station or where you're at in the military on your leaders, right? Because during your career, you'll see tens and tens and tens of different people in positions of leadership over you. And some of them are going to be good, some of them are going to be bad, some of them are going to be great, some of them are going to be terrible, right? What your responsibility is to take what you can and learn from every single person that you interact with while you're there, right? And what that means is, obviously, it's easy to learn from somebody in the who's a good leader. You want to imitate them. You want to be like them, right? But and it's really hard to learn from people that aren't really great leaders, right? But what you can learn is what you don't want to be, right? And there's a reason why those people are in a position of leadership, right? So maybe at one point they were good and successful in their career. Maybe they're going through some personal things in their lives that are preventing them from being the best that they can be. But at the same time, you have to remember that you can always learn the good and the bad, and what you want to be and what you don't want to be, and make your own assessment as to how you wish to progress as you move into higher positions of leadership during your career. Okay. So, like I said, I just wanted to do a quick video, 5 or 10 minutes, to talk about some major pieces of advice for people who are looking to join the military. And some of this does apply to people who have already joined or just recently joined, and some of it also does apply to people who have been in for a while. And my goal is to add value. So what I encourage you to do is, if you have any questions, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. You see it down here on the bottom, all my links, okay? You can drop a comment below. If you have questions, don't hesitate. Reach out to me, direct message me. I try to be as responsive as I possibly can to all of my followers. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a good night.